Hello, everybody, and welcome to the very first TierMaker episode for the GregsynthWizard channel. And today it is going to be on Elton John's European Express Tour of 1984, with Sydney 84 and Monte Carlo being a part just because we didn't know where to put them, and I figured they need to be talked about as well. So that's the best I could do. So after thinking about it, I really wanted to do the solo. Just going through these gigs, talking about them and ranking them and kind of rambling about what I think of them. But I didn't think that was going to be as fun as the idea I had coming up, which would be to have 3 other people in the Elton John community come on here and also talk with me. And we have the TheEltonBootlegs from the UK.
Yay!
And
evening.
Then,
hello, or good afternoon, whatever time of day it is. Good evening, good morning, good night, I don't know.
And then we have the man who makes Call of Duty the best game ever with his great commentary and amazing zombies performances. We have Ethan, Tony, Thompson, Murray.
Hello, everybody. How are you? I hope you're all doing okay. Hi.
Oh, hi. All right, have a drink. You'll be fine. And,
Fuck off.
Yep. And usually I would save the best for last, but in this case it doesn't, work. But we're going to be referring to this next person as a legend, because he is also active in the EJ community as somebody who keeps me in line and makes sure I don't screw up too badly. And his blunt criticisms of my work have caused me to go into mild heart attacks, panic attacks, and gives me a headache, but I love him for it. Ladies and gentlemen, tsskiller.
You still suck, Greg.
You're damn right I suck. Hey, wait a minute. Wait, forget that. That was an accident. Never mind.
You lose.
Car crash coming.
Yeah, I'm such a crash test dummy. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to soldier on, because that's the way to do things.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
the subscribers on this channel want some information. They want entertainment, and they want to hear our input on this. So we're all going to be talking about Elton's 84 tour, the Euro tour. But we're going to make it interesting, because normally in a discussion like this, you may think it's going to be kind of like a debate of sorts, free for all, everybody going at it, but it's going to be a tag team. It's going to be the Elton Bootlegs and Ethan as Team Nancy Boys, and myself and tsskiller under the name of American Muscle. American Muscle versus the Nancy Boys.
Teams?
Yes,
Teams?
Team UK,
Why?
Team USA. Hey,
Personally, I think it's 3 against 1.
That's right.
How is that fair?
It's a freaking handicap match, Greg.
No.
What are you talking about?
Hey, nobody's putting me through a fucking table, all right? So, look.
I'll angle slam you.
No, stop that shit.
Put your ass in a casket.
No. But I thought this was going to be an event about being together in unity and stuff.
Well, we still have to. Well, to be fair, Greg, we have to agree on what the positions of these shows are going to be.
Right.
So there's still going to have to be some agreement, but that doesn't mean I can't fucking slam you.
Hey, you ain't gonna be slamming me. Let me tell you, I'm sitting in my chair right here. I'm all bloated and I'm ready to go, and my state of mind is through the roof right now.
How many
So,
substances
Well, that's because
have
you didn't
taken?
take your fucking Pepto-Bismol.
oh well, I've had a bunch of stuff, but it ain't Pepto-Bismol. It's like my nose is running and it's numb. But what we're gonna be talking about.
Better get a Backstreet Boys test.
There's an ad for Benzodrex. Okay, so what we're gonna do is I'm gonna have to reluctantly change my plans here.
That's
We're
all
just
right.
We're just gonna all go at it then, apparently, because I thought my tag team unity thing would be great, but apparently that's not what everybody wanted. So,
No, because you did the heel turn that nobody wanted.
oh well, excuse me. Look, I'm doing this for the fans. All right.
You got
just
three
like
people
TPCI.
bullying you.
Right.
Okay. All right. So enough of this bickering and taking pot shots at me. I can't handle this anymore. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna continue on with the plan, which is talk about Elton gigs because that seems to
Absolutely.
make some sort of sense.
Yep.
So what we're gonna do is I'm just gonna tell you what I think of the tour leg in general.
Yeah.
And next person, we'll figure out who'll go next. We'll flip a
Sure.
coin or whatever. But I'll start by saying
3 sides of the coin.
That's right, 3 sides of the coin. But for the European tour of '84, the Euro Express tour, I love this tour leg. Some of my all-time favorite Elton performances come from this leg in general. It's probably my favorite tour leg Elton's ever done in his live career. I think the performances are high energy, mostly extremely consistent on a band basis. Elton's an amazing voice throughout this tour leg. Powerful voice, consistent, prime, range is all there. Very resonant voice, helped by the tuxedo and the boater hats. And just it's a ton of energy, on this tour leg. Just very consistent. I love listening to gigs. They're fun to listen to, and it's a nice, steady, consistent set list of a mix of the old classics being reborn and the new stuff. So I absolutely love the Euro '84 tour. I never get tired of it, and I always find time to listen to it. So since someone's chomping at the bit, I'll let TSS go next.
Thank you, Greg. So, Euro Express '84. After listening to a lot more of the gigs again, I can understand why it's revered as one of his best tour legs ever. But I will have to say that up until now, I didn't appreciate like Dee's bass playing until I listened to everything now. Some of Dee Murray's like bass fills and just randomness just makes the songs come alive. Because usually with bassists they usually play like a straight bass line and maybe a little bit of a variation. But Dee, he can change his melodic playing night to night, even song to song. And that's what I really appreciate about this. Now, with that being said, the band isn't as tight as like 85, 86, but the looseness atmosphere on the stage really makes it unique. Sometimes there are some misfires, but I do admit that this band had a lot of fun on stage. Elton's voice couldn't have been better. With the exception of some of them. We're going to get into some of those in a little while. But overall, Elton's voice was tops on this tour. There's not too many gigs I would consider bad. So, realistically, yeah, this is definitely in my top 5 in terms of tours. For sure. So, with that being said, take it, Greg.
All right, so I'm going to be nice. And since I love English accents so much, Elton Bootlegs, I'll let you go.
Okay, thank you very much. Right. Yes, well, 1984 was a fantastic year for Elton John, and it's an important year for us because TSS introduced me to this year where he said, let's watch this madman play the piano at Wembley 84 playing Benny and the Jets. It's a magnificent performance. The man is completely off his chops. And this tour in itself is just amazing. I mean, obviously we're only going to be talking about Sydney, the European leg, but the amount of consistent performances, it just blows my mind. And you're trying to pick out your favourites, and it's impossible. It's like trying to pick between your favourite children. TSS is also right in what he says about the loose arrangements compared to, say, the following tour, 85-86. But obviously there's less people on stage in this era, and the following tour you've got a brass section. You can't really go improv style. Admittedly, you could with like Charlie Morgan and David Payton, but the looseness works on a lot of occasions. There are some occasions where it doesn't work, but hey, there's a lot of things involved on stage. But overall, it's going to be a lot of positives from me. I can't really think of many negatives to say about this.
And last, but certainly not least, Ethan, go.
I absolutely love this, like the Euro shows, and Sydney and Monte Carlo. There are no real awful shows. There are shows that are better than others, but there's no bad shows, really. Dee's playing fantastically. Nigel's drumming's better than ever. It's a shame they got replaced at 85, but we can live with that. Elton's voice sounds as good as ever. It's probably his best leg he's ever done, I'd say. With the exception of maybe some roughness on some early songs, but again, that's due to just not warming the voice up. It's not due to anything problematic, not yet anyway. So yeah, I love it. There's no negatives I can really think of at the moment.
That sounds. I'd say that's a fair assessment. So, as you can all see, we all seem to appreciate this tour leg, which is a good thing. Otherwise, I would be completely beside myself. But,
Now we were talking about the Reg tour. That would be a whole fucking completely different scenario right there. Thank God. Man, imagine we have to rank that. Oh my God.
No, it's like I could just feel my eyes watering thinking about that. But
Don't know.
Alrighty.
All right. So what we're gonna do is before we start ranking the shows, I'm gonna quickly make noise throughout, but also go go through what these ranks are real quickly. As you can see on the TierMaker, All Stars is the highest rank, and E is the lowest. All Stars are basically the ultimate gigs. They're practically flawless or near flawless. There's like everything's going according to plan, perfect, extra energy, extra everything, amazing atmosphere. Just these are the kind of gigs that are not going to be common through specific tours or legs. It's like things really have to align to get to that ranking. Then S. S is general excellence. Superb, great, fantastic. Not a lot of differences between an S gig and an All-Star gig, except maybe the All-Star gig would be a little bit better in some aspects. Like it would be kind of like having a 8-cylinder car running on 7 cylinders on an S gig as opposed to 8. But an S gig is still amazing, excellent, nothing wrong with it, no shame. A is generally very good, excellent, still some great performances, still can contain some elite versions of songs, still consistent, although maybe not quite to the level of S and All-Stars. This is where you may start to see a slight bit of the hills and valleys thing going on gigs, where there may be some bits where it's not as good, but it's still generally high quality stuff. No shame in having an A gig. B is generally good, solid, all around. It's pretty good. Still has some great stuff. Consistency starts to become noticeably lower compared to the previous 3. And it also could be just a gig where, it's solid all around, but nothing really outstanding. Just solid, kind of middle of the road, but still, fine. Nothing bad, but it could be better. C, fair. If they're okay, maybe some consistency issues. Maybe Elton's having a bit of an off night, or the band's not there, or, just it's marred. There's some good stuff on there, but inconsistencies are throughout, and it's generally not really a ranking you really want, especially when you get to D, which is mediocre. Could range from band not being in good form, Elton sounding bad, maybe a bad atmosphere. Not really recommended here, except for completionists. Although, you may still get a slimmer of hope on some performances, but that's really the only thing that separates D from E, which is just worse you can get, bad, poor, abysmal. You know, Elton's not there mentally, either sounds bad, band's having a bad night, or there are things during the gig that really severely disrupt the listening experience and really bring down the quality. Gigs like that. But looking through these rankings, very rarely are you going to find gigs really in all-stars. You may find quite a few S's, maybe a lot of A's and B's, fair amount of C's. Not common, you will see stuff in D and even E. So this is not going to be like, you're not going to see all the letters equally represented on videos. It all depends on the tour and the tour leg. And just as a note, the absolute best gig or gigs on tours or tour legs may not necessarily be all-stars, and the worst gigs on tours or tour legs may not necessarily be down in D or E.
Right.
So you may get an instance where a lot of it's in the middle of the tier or something that, so you won't know once you go through here and listen to this.
Right.
So with that being said, is everybody ready?
Yep.
Yes.
I have a question before we begin.
Yes.
Do you think with this tour leg we will get an All-Stars gig?
Yes.
Yes.
I do as well. I just wanted to ask the question.
I am going to guess possibly yes, and I'm also going to guess possibly we're not going to be getting anything in E. So,
Just you wait, Greg. Just you wait.
We'll see what everybody thinks. So, since it's a fatal four-way free-for-all, we all have to fight and agree on putting these gigs somewhere on the list. So we all have to battle. So let's start. On this TierMaker, I have used an amazing '84 picture as a background for the gigs. Don't dream it's over. And I think it represents this tour perfectly. So we're going to start with Sydney, '84. This was one of the first ones that I've ever listened to.
Yeah.
And while I really like the gig, and I still have fond memories of hearing it for the first time, and I still think there's some really good performances, and it's got a unique set on it, I don't think it's top notch for '84. I think there are better shows later on, and I think it suffers from a little bit of a consistency issue, especially towards the end, because Elton, while in good voice overall, sounds a little ragged. Worse for the wear on some tracks towards the end. Not necessarily bad, but not what would you expect from '84. But again, the gig has some great stuff on it. It's got Crystal, and still very solid overall. I'm going to personally put it at B. I'm going to put it at B. So I would love to hear you guys' input.
I actually agree with that because there are some issues with Elton's voice, especially as Greg said in the latter half. Yellow Brick Road, he doesn't hit the C5s on top. He actually hits like halfway between B and C, which tells that his voice is pretty tired. Your Song could have been delivered better. Same thing with Candle. Benny is fun, but again, and I'm still standing. But the thing is, though, you kind of hear the roughness of the voice. I mean, it's nothing too bad. There's not that many like vocal mistakes. Like Island Girl still sounds great. Pinball, he actually drops some of the B4s, which doesn't make any sense. It's very hard to hear that because D's vocals on Pinball Wizard is actually like high in the mix. But if you listen closely, some of those notes in the chorus is Elton's actually dodging. So yeah, that's why it's going into B. It's definitely not his best performance at all. Song for Guy is always a classic, but there's only 3 words in it. Like life isn't everything. You can't really fuck up on that.
You could.
That'd be a
Life
golden
is
version
a
if I. It'd be a golden version if I found that.
But yeah, I definitely agree with Greg here. It's a B gig. There are definitely better shows in the next few months.
Yeah, so I agree as well. I mean, can't really blame him for being tired. It is the last show he did on that massive string of Aussie shows he did, so
Yeah.
it's the last show.
Bootlegs.
Yeah.
I kind of go with a B rating. However, I personally would try and push it up to an A for another reason, which is atmosphere. It's his 37th birthday. The crowd are in exceptionally good spirits. There's always something about a Sydney concert where the crowds are just really into the music, having a great time. And also you get Molly Meldrum singing off key during Crocodile Rock. That is one
And also
not
not even using the right syllable.
Yeah. Yeah, but the funny thing is, you've got to remember when Elton came back to Australia for the following tour with his voice completely, absolutely fucked, and Molly Meldrum's asking him why he's not performing Crocodile Rock. There's an easy reason why.
And also to be fair, you know, he said this in interviews a lot. It's like he hated playing the song, and that's why he didn't play it until fucking 1998.
Yeah.
Again.
Well, he played it as a ballad, didn't he, in 93?
Oh yeah, 93, but not
the rocker style.
Not the rocker
Yeah.
version. Because Elton kind of had a change of heart at that time, but that's not what this thing is all about. But the whole point is he got sick and tired of playing Crocodile Rock by the end of '84.
Yeah, I'd agree. But I'd give it an A personally, but I would agree with you, Free, saying giving it a B rating. So it's not going to be a difficult one for me to go, I'm going to have to concede here.
Okay.
It's just my personal opinion, but I will accept putting it as a B. Any lower.
And here's the thing, it's a B. There's no shade. I mean, that's not a bad ranking. So
No.
I mean, it just means there's better, but it's still quite good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely worth a listen just for Crystal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
All
for
right.
Molly Meldrum.
Yeah. you got that. So after Sydney, we go to Stockholm. This is the earliest gig we have on the European tour proper. And man, after listening to the upgrade,
Yeah, it's a huge difference.
I love this show. I think it's very unique, where you still have generally the same set list as Sydney, except without Crystal. So it's before the set list got revamped. You hear some amazing performances of Island Girl, Teacher I Need You. The band sound amazing. Dee is up in the mix, and you can really appreciate his playing. I think Elton sounds fantastic. Pretty clear voice overall. I would say it's definitely a step or two above Sydney for a few different reasons. I will personally put it at A. So, who would like to discuss Stockholm?
Go on then. And it's getting quite scary because I gave Stockholm an A as well. There are little moments that would stop me from giving it an S, like he flubs the words in One More Arrow, which is a shame because it's an excellent version otherwise. And you have other little things as well, especially Tiny Dancer who's flubbing the words. I don't think Ethan would be too pleased with that. But in saying that, there are definitive performances. Island Girl, for instance, is exceptional. Apart from the fact that he doesn't sing the first line, but
No, it could have been the microphone wasn't turned on.
that's true.
Or possibly making a face at something or something.
Yeah, it could be a
Probably.
face. Yeah.
Yeah.
The amount of faces he made on this tour.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
But overall, this is an excellent show, and but as the tour goes on, the shows get better and better. Maybe the exception of the next show, but also as well, I must note, Pinball Wizard is superb. I love the version of Pinball Wizard from this show.
It's a shame it wasn't kept in the set, actually. I would have liked to have heard it
do you know what?
on
I
some of the
agree with
latest
that.
shows. Yeah.
It's a like you can imagine it at Wembley right at the end where he's done Crocodile Rock, and he comes back out and he does an extra couple of songs, maybe like Pinball
Yeah.
Wizard and then the medley.
Plus, the song would have been nailed. Because,
Oh God, yeah, it'd
Yeah.
be fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All
that's
right.
all I've got to say. I'll give it an A.
I agree with that. I agree with that. So, reason why this gets an A is, well, first of all, the Pinball Wizard is miles better than the Sydney one. It's also cool to hear Fred Mandel doing guitar on that.
Yeah.
Because you just hear having two guitars just makes it so much better. Lyrical flubs aside, Elton's voice is very clean. He delivers the songs more straightforward rather than the overdriving stuff that he would do later. But it's a really good listen. Some very surprising performances. Like I said, Philadelphia Freedom, where he actually hits the B flat fours and the Shine a Light in freaking mixed and full voice. That's fucking crazy. It's very very unique sound, including the intro to the chorus where you get Philadelphia Freedom. He actually hits it like for the first one he hits it like I think the first there's a few versions like this and then Copenhagen where he hits that like in the 70s where he hits it in full voice, but it sounds so good. So really can't fault this gig. It's a really excellent gig. The only thing like Elton Bootlegs said here, pretty much it's like the lyrical flubs are the only thing that's holding back from it being at least an S. So I will definitely agree and say an A.
I will also I will also say that on the straightforward performances of the songs, this is a gig where he tends to sing a lot of the songs without a lot of the embellishments, as you would hear later on. So they're more straightforward. Like Candle, it doesn't have any over singing whatsoever in it, and then you have some great moments on Pinball Wizard, Saturday Night's Alright for Fighting. Too Low for Zero is very unique because it's one of the most tame versions of the song he's done. And it sounds actually really nice to hear a more laid-back version of the song. So Stockholm has a uniqueness factor about it, which I think can aid it. So that's why I'm keeping it A. Ethan, what do you think?
I generally agree with that. It's a really good show overall. The lyric flubs are just... It's just missing the correct words on some songs, like Tiny Dancer and One More Arrow. Speaking of Pinball Wizard, this is the last version, I believe, with falsetto, I believe. I don't think he would do that.
That's correct. Yeah. That's correct. Well, actually, the main falsetto. Because on the 93 ones, he still nails the ending where I'm a pinball on the B flat 4 at the end. But this is the last version with the classic B4, the classic falsetto at the end, in the choruses.
Yeah.
It's so nice to hear these versions compared to 1995.
Oh
God, that's
Again, I got to give credit to the boater hats and the tuxes, but yeah. So I think A is the ranking that we'll agree with.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you what. The next gig, Copenhagen. TSS, I'll let you start this one. Where does this go? And tell me about Copenhagen.
You see, the problem is I'm teetering between a B and an A. The problem is it would be, for me, if I had to put it in A rank, it would be definitely underneath Stockholm. The reason why I'm putting it there is because it's just so fucking random. Let's see. Let's go through the songs. Tiny Dancer. Pridey eyes, and then at like the last pre-chorus he does blue eyes. It's like blue eyes, pirate smile. Like that doesn't work. So you have that. So you know that his mind is not there. Then we go to Hercules, where he's just randomly like overdriving, over singing the song. It's the most random version of the song he's ever done. And it's like
1975.
Yes. Oh yeah. Rocket Man, where he hits like halfway between A flat and A, and he sounds like he's birding out, like squawking some of those notes. Like there's a huge problem there. Daniel, where he just randomly just says, "Fuck it, let's just hit random C5s in the fucking song." Teacher, I Need You is actually good. Candle has some weird shit at the end. Bitch is back. He doesn't even know what the fuck he's doing. He kind of does like 86 phrasing in some places, and it's like, what the fuck is this? Don't Let the Sun, he randomly like hits a random G in the middle of the first verse, and it doesn't fucking make sense. Island Girl is actually decent, but the problem is the band fuck up at the end. Benny has random shit where he does like where at the end and it's also Copenhagen's the only version that he fucks up between the solo and the outro. Both Elton and Clive Franks, who is the audio engineer, he fucks up the point because on all these gigs except Copenhagen, including the ones like from 82 and 80 and from back then, it's the only time in Prime Live where he plays the Benny riff after the solo and before it goes into the outro, and then you hear you hear him hit the chord, and then you hear the kind of like the stair stepping echo effect. Well, they completely fuck it up. And then at the end of the song, and then at the end of Benny, you have freaking both D and Elton freaking say, "Benny the J," like butch shit at the end. So that was like random. Philadelphia Freedom, he hits some of the notes. He hits some of the B flat fours on like full voice, so he doesn't give a fuck basically. Blue Eyes is fine. Blues, where it's like 30 seconds into the song, he doesn't know where the hell he is, so he fucks up the words. And then towards the end, it's like, oh, he doesn't know where he is, so let's just randomly embellish it. And Kiss the Bride has random C5s where it doesn't belong. One More Arrow is actually the best song of the fucking night, which doesn't make any sense considering that he's so fucked off his face. Too Low for Zero has a piano solo in it that rivals I Don't Wanna solos from '89. It was like so out of place. Probably the worst version of the song. I'm Still Standing, where it's like some of the A flats aren't hit on top, and the solo part is kind of weird. Your Song, where he accidentally plays the B flat minor chord to start I'm Still Standing because I think he forgot he played the song already. Saturday Night is just random. Yellow Brick Road is really good. Probably he only misses one of the C5s. And Crocodile is also fun. But interestingly enough, even though for Crocodile, he doesn't do the stupid B3 like drop phrasing. Like you would see in like the baritone phrasing that you would see in the US tour. So yeah, it gets an A only because it's just random. And yeah, by the way, your song has like 86 phrasing except with a C5, which doesn't make any fucking sense. And he like randomly oversins one of the final chorus, like in a way that I haven't seen ever before. But for all of its faults, it's an A show because it's really entertaining.
Well, yeah, it is a very entertaining show, no doubt.
Yeah.
And who would like to go next on Copenhagen? Is it an A show?
I'll go next. TSS is right in what he says about it being an A gig, in the sense that the voice is there, range is excellent. However, I personally would give the show a B just because of the inconsistencies that you get regarding his mental state. Some songs are just you don't know what's going to come next. Whereas at some gigs you listen and you're like, okay, you're getting what you expect. This gig you can get a really random performance, and the next one was excellent. You're like, oh, okay, he's back under control, and then no, it makes you wonder what on earth they were having before the gig. So personally, I give it a B. Some excellent performances, but some of them, Jesus Christ.
Ethan.
I'm with TSS on this. I'm torn between a B and an A. It's one of the two shows where he's off his fade. We'll get to that later. Yeah, it has some of the most fun versions of songs like Hercules and fucking one. It's funny that One More Arrow is the best song of the night. He's actually sensible. Thank goodness for that. And speaking of One More, it's a fine version. But yeah, I'm with TSS. I'm torn between a B and an A because some songs are very good, but also some songs are just hilarious too because Trainwreck and whatever. But yeah.
All right. Well, for me, for Copenhagen, I agree that it is extremely entertaining. You know, it is one of the funniest shows on the whole tour leg, and possibly of the whole tour because of the recklessness and the randomness. That being said, while I'm all for comedy and amusement and entertainment, and it is a fun listen. You know, I'm not going to take that away from it. Listening to the show and then comparing it to a lot of the other ones later on, there is a huge difference in the quality of the performances. There's a lot of randomness, a lot of recklessness, a lot of things that don't make sense. Lyric flubs, you know, intonation issues, playing chords on the piano that don't fit in the key, or stuff that just seems out of place. And then the sloppiness of the band at times. So I'm like, it's fun to listen to, and I think it's funny, but I can't see it putting Copenhagen at the same tier as like Stockholm, because Stockholm is a night and day difference.
To be fair, though, Greg, you can actually make it so that it's at the complete bottom A. Because you don't have to put them in order in the tier. You know, you could still say this is A above Stockholm or A above. You could put something in like a low A, high A, mid A, something like that.
A
Yeah.
minus?
Well, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I suppose you can have some wiggle room to put shows in terms of
Where they
the
rank.
letter.
Yeah.
Because you may have a whole...
Because if it was up to me, this would be absolutely bottom A. There's nothing I don't think it's a B because considering that, like I said, it's a much more entertaining listen to than Sydney is, in my opinion.
Probably because you don't know what's coming next.
Because I go into this, I was torn between putting Copenhagen between C and B, just because of the randomness and the inconsistencies. I don't think it's bottom tier. I don't think it's a bad show, so at all. But trying to look at that and comparing it to the other gigs, you know, I'm like, it wouldn't make sense for me to rank it, you know, on certain tiers, but I wouldn't throw it all the way down in D or E, because that's for pure shit. You know, that's for stuff that has no redeeming qualities, like E and D to an extent. So I would not put Copenhagen down at D or E at all. C or B would be where I would put it personally, just because of the consistency. I agree it's entertaining. I'll give it that. And it's fun to listen to. I listen to it with a smile on my face. But I'm trying to look at it in the sense of trying to compare it to these other gigs. And it's like, yes, you can have a high A, you can have a low A, you can have a high B. I get it. I totally get it. I understand. But can you honestly put Copenhagen along with some of these same gigs that are much more consistent with better performances from everybody? That's why I'm torn between C and B, personally.
That's
Well, if
why
it makes
I
you
went with
you
B.
feel any better, it probably would be B below Sydney.
I wouldn't put it C personally.
No, it's not C because C would be something um the MSG gig like 1023. That would be a
Yeah.
C.
Yeah.
Like that. This is still much better than that.
All right, I'll compromise. How about I'll put it at B, but a low B. Well,
Yeah, we'll put it. Well, yeah, B
Yeah,
below
all right.
Sydney. B below
Yeah.
Sydney.
well, that wasn't so hard. So,
All right.
all right, so what we have next is Stuttgart, and who would like to start this?
I think this is the show where he starts to turn absolutely amazing. So I'm going to put it at a mid A. A high, in between a high and a mid A. Because I think this is a show where he really starts to turn amazing.
For me, I would actually disagree. I would say he's better than what you're making out. I'd say this is the first gig where it starts to go into borderline S because of his amazing singing. The band are just on fire. You have the amazing atmosphere. It's not a flawless gig because we got the Restless video, but flubs aside, Elton's in amazing vocal shape. Some of the all-time best versions of songs are on this show, if not the elite versions. Very consistently amazing performances, and I think he's better here than all of the previous shows that were mentioned. So I would personally put it at S.
That's what I meant. Like, he's better than all the other shows.
I disagree with that because in order for it to be S in my book, it would have to be the performances would have to be better. If you want to put Stuttgart, I don't think Stuttgart belongs in the S tier only because there's better gigs. There's better gigs that deserve an S. I would say this would probably be a top A, like the highest of A's, because there's still some inconsistencies that were ironed out in the month of June.
Yeah.
And his voice actually sounds better, and actually his voice, arguably enough, sounds better in the next week or two. And as well as more passionate performances. So I would actually put this as top A, like the highest of A's. So you could put that above Stockholm. But it's still a very fantastic gig, and it's the first gig that you really start to see Elton shine in terms of vocal prowess.
Yeah, so I would say either in between a mid and a top A. I would say, because I think this is the show where he really starts to take it up a notch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say it's an ass gig in between the two.
An ass.
Yeah, I'd say it's right in between the two, because I think it definitely has qualities to get it to S, but it all depends on looking at these other gigs and comparing them. But I definitely see more of a potential for this gig to be up there compared to like Stockholm or something.
Right.
How about you, Elton Bootlegs? Is it an S gig, an A plus, an S gig? What do you think?
I would personally give it a low S. It is, as you guys say, the first show of the tour where everything seems to gel together. There are slight inconsistencies. However, there are some performances of songs that just knock your socks off. I mean, Too Low for Zero for me is one of the best versions I've ever heard of the song. Admittedly, the first version of Restless, he's flubbing words, but other than that, it's very, very straightforward version. It's really enjoyable, and I actually really enjoy the original version of Sad Songs. Like, it's a little bit slower than some that come up later in the tour, but I do enjoy listening to it. It's a shame that One More Hour was cut because the the bulk of that was excellent, and the person taping does a good job singing as well. He knows the words. I was quite impressed by that. But no, for me, I give this a low S, but I get the feeling that it could be an all-out war here.
Well, low S
Let's
versus
see.
high A. I mean, come on. So
Let's give it a sa. Or
No, I still prefer ass gig.
I love that shit.
So here's my question: does this gig have enough qualities to qualify to put it up to S, or is it still too blurred, or is it not enough to get it right to the threshold?
Realistically, it's not enough because there are still certain deliveries of songs that are much better in the next like 2 weeks that he would perform, like the next like 3 or 4 weeks.
Yep.
That those would be worthy of an S. Because the problem is once you put it into an S rank, then you have to compare it to everything else that's going to be in the S rank.
Yep.
And even for this, I still wouldn't give this bottom S because there still is much more.
If you put this in S, this will be the weakest show in S.
Yes.
I mean, I didn't really look at it that way, but it definitely makes sense because I will still say though, I do think this gig is better than the previous 3 that
Absolutely.
came before it. So
Yeah.
Absolutely. So that's why you say
Yeah.
you put it on top. Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, I can definitely see an argument for some of the qualities for being S, but looking at it and thinking about what's coming up in the tour, I could settle for an ass gig or the highest of A's. It's borderline, it's getting close. But here's the thing: there's no shame in having this gig at an A because that just means it's excellent and it's almost there. So
Yep.
Yep.
so we'll stick with high end A for this one.
Yes.
yeah.
Yep.
Okay. I'll take over for the next one.
Sure.
Munich. This is a fun show. Certainly can't get a job, and I can't get a job. But I still say Munich is a rockin' gig. It's a rock solid, awesome show all around. Amazing Rocket Man. I love the improvs. Overall, I think it's a great show. Very rock solid. And I personally will put it at A. I think the gig is excellent overall, but I just think that there are other gigs that can go
Yeah.
above this one.
Yeah.
But this is still extremely rock solid, and it's still a great listen. But I think it's extremely consistent, but nothing that really shoots up to the moon, no pun intended, in compared to some of the other gigs. I think it holds itself at a high level, but doesn't go straight to the tippy top in really any other area. So I'm going to give it a solid
What do you mean
A.
it would shoot down the moon? I mean,
That's
Yeah, well, that'll be an insult because I ain't putting that gig down in the lower end of the TierMaker. So
Well,
I'll say rock solid A.
I
Change
will
my
say,
mind.
I will say A above Stuttgart. It's a better gig than Stuttgart. You have the rocket ship phrasing on Rocket Man, strong B flat fours, the constant ribs to Freddie Mercury in the back.
This one's for Melina the Pork Owl.
Absolutely.
that was my argument to make it an all-star because Freddie Mercury is in the backstage.
Yeah,
No,
we
but
opened
I could just imagine. I could just imagine though, if Freddie didn't break his leg, wouldn't it have been cool to have him come out during like the medley or something like that?
Oh, that would have been great, but if he opens
Like
his
Manchester
mouth,
82.
Yeah.
hopefully he doesn't have the Works Tour voice. Otherwise, I would have been
Hopefully he
screwed.
wouldn't.
I
No, yeah.
probably wouldn't. No, he probably still would be fine voice. So
Hopefully.
Yeah, but
Hopefully, yeah.
but definitely this is definitely an A above Stuttgart. This is a better gig than Stuttgart. This is much better atmosphere in my opinion.
Yeah.
The you really start to see Elton's vocal technique really shine starting with this show, and it just
Yep.
keeps on getting better after this. So that's why I'm putting this top A above Stuttgart.
And I also think this gig has one of, if not the first, truly brilliant rendition of Hercules from a vocal
Mm.
standpoint,
Yeah.
where he starts to do the falsetto at the end and the ad
I,
libs, and
I'd say it can compete for one of the best versions on the tour.
so yeah, I would say for me Munich is a strong, solid A. Nothing really wrong with it. It's rock solid. It's consistent, and it has some excellent performances. Um, Elton bootlegs.
Um, I would give it an A, like you guys. Excellent show. There are better coming up. As I jokingly said, we'd have given it an all-star Freddie Mercury just being in the background, but unfortunately you can't. So, but yeah, it's a high energy show. But if you gave me the option and said I had to show someone a 1984 show from Europe, it wouldn't. And it's not me slagging the show. It wouldn't be number one on my list. The only thing I probably would show here's a speech. This one's from old Melina. Who's Melina? So yeah, I give it an A.
All right, so A's all around.
Ethan,
Uh,
what do you
Uh,
think?
are you okay? Okay.
I'm peachy.
Okay, good. Um, uh, yeah, I'd give it an A. I wouldn't give it an S because it's not really deserving of an S. I like this show, but I think next show beats it in every single way possible. So, yeah, I'd probably give it an A, a very high A.
All right, so since you're so enthusiastic, Ethan, why don't you start Vienna? Where does this go?
Vienna, I would say this is the first show to get an S, personally.
Ooh,
It's a
an S gig.
Oh yeah.
it's a fantastic show all around. Only real problem is Elton sounds slightly rough on Tiny Dancer, as with he sounded like that on Munich, but he sounds slightly rough on Tiny Dancer, but by Hercules he's completely fine. Yeah, I would say that, and One More Arrow is one of the best versions on the tour. Yeah, I would say this is the first show to get an S on the tour, but personally.
All right. Elton bootlegs. Go ahead.
I'd also give it an S. I remember when you first showed me this show, when you got the tape and we transferred it together, and literally every song I was just going, ooh, ah. And there was no song where I was like, came away and went, oh, that was an average version. Everything was fantastic. I'd give this a high S. I really would. I couldn't be. This would be an example of a show where if somebody said, give me something to listen to from this era, this would be one of the first ones I'd say, go listen to that.
Yep,
Because it is superb.
I agree with that.
Hercules for me it's joint best with another show that comes later because the vocals are just outstanding.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I-
I'm sorry. Go ahead, please.
I would be if I was in a very very generous mood. I would try and push this into the all-star category, but then I get the impression that there are one or two others a little bit later on that may go into that category. But yeah, overall, I give it a very strong S.
Yeah, for me, I would give it at least a mid or a high S. Definitely, this is the first gig that you could really tell that Elton's vocals just delivering these songs with confidence. And this is the first, this is the first real time where you know that he was commanding his voice on stage. You really can feel the passion and the flexibility in his voice. Just giving it his all. This is like the first one of the whole run, where it just starts the amazing amazing run that he would have in the next month. So definitely for me, it would be a mid or a high S.
Yeah,
That's all I have to say.
yeah. For me, I definitely think this is the best show that we have on tape of the band and Elton in the month of May, and definitely
Yep.
the best
Yep.
before June. So what I love about this gig is not only is the energy fantastic and Elton is on fire throughout the whole thing, but yeah, the way it's recording, the guitar is very high in the mix, and Davey tears his ass off on all the songs. So he's playing like crazy. Hercules is amazing. Also, Dee's bass is up in the mix too, and he's going crazy on songs. Restless is one of the best versions of the song in the early part of its live career. It's just straight on energy. It's an amazing show overall. A lot of contenders for elite versions of songs for the era, and very consistent. And yeah, apart from the roughness on Tiny Dancer, which goes away, there's really not much to fault. In terms of serious faults on
Yeah.
this recording.
Yep.
I think it's extremely consistent. It's what you want from from an Elton show in '84. You have Elton in top voice, the band in great form, high energy. They play like they want to be on that stage, and I think it hits all the right notes for an extremely high placement on this list. So I will definitely put it in S, and I think it's truly the first absolutely brilliant gig that we get on this tour leg in general. I mean, you'll have your moments of brilliance on earlier shows, and Stuttgart comes close and has a lot of great stuff, but I think Vienna is just up there and shining above all the other ones. So I think Vienna is the first S gig.
It's the first of maybe 3 non-UK shows to really shine, I would say.
I mean, I think I think Vienna is definitely up there, and it's often talked about in a very positive way. If you see the comments and stuff,
Yeah.
Vienna's always brought up, in a positive light. So that shows you that people love the gig.
Yep.
So yeah, I see no issue with putting it at S. I think it fits perfectly. Now, TSS, I'll let you start Ludwig Shaman.
Well, I can say this is an S rank, but it's only going to be on the low end. The reason why is that there are some flubs and some randomness, but definitely with the new source. Because originally, if we were going to base it off of the old source, I would have given it an A, but this one will be an S, but it's still a low S. Still fantastic musicianship and vocal performances, but I feel that Vienna was better in terms of vocal performance. There's a bit more roughness and overdrive on this one that doesn't that keeps it from getting on top of Vienna. But I would still say people should listen to this gig because of just the funniness, goofiness, but also the vocal prowess, as I mentioned. So I would give this a low S. So that's all I have to say. There's really nothing. I mean, and plus the quality, like I said, you have a soundboard. It just sounds fantastic. This is probably like the second best soundboard we have from this tour. But even though Elton is pretty low in the mix, it makes the other like you can really hear like Fred's keyboards in this particular mix. But I think it kind of gives it like a weird atmosphere that is very unique to this specific tour, where you have all the instruments piped up as opposed to where Elton's vocals is not the focus of the mix, but the musicianship is. But with that being said, like I said, low S for me.
For me, I would actually drop it a rank. I would actually put it more on the A because while it's a very strong show overall, and there are some great musical moments scattered throughout. Elton, while still very solid and strong, he does sound a little rougher compared to
Yes.
most of the other ones, and he's kind of got more of a tired sound to his chords. Like, yes, he's making his notes. Yeah, he sounds good, but it's not as effortless or as strong as earlier and later on. I
Right.
think it's kind of a. I mean, he's not bad, no question. This is nowhere near bad territory for him, but I just think that even though it's a consistent gig with some great moments and the quality is amazing, because what I love about it, the mix, the mixer has Elton's piano cranked up, so you can actually hear him play on Restless, and it like the bass notes on the piano, and I think it sounds awesome. So this gig is unique because the way the mix is balanced. Davey is lower in the mix compared to some of the other gigs. Elton's piano's higher in the mix. D is higher in the mix, and Nigel is neutral. So it's like you have almost like a different perspective of listening to an '84 show because the mix of the instruments is a bit unique, where it's a more of a piano and bass heavy mix. I would say that this show has some elements that could make it S in in terms of like the musicianship and Davey's playing and just the general atmosphere. But I think it is a step down from Vienna. But it's not bad at all. I mean, I would give it an A, probably a higher end A, just because it's still very consistent.
So it'd be A, high A, better than Munich.
It would
High
be
high A above Munich.
I would put it because there's some elements that are better at Ludwigshafen compared to Munich, but also Munich has some better stuff. So I
Vocal.
would, yeah, I'd
So
say
put it below. So put it below Munich.
a little below Munich, but I still think Elton's stronger at Munich vocally. But I think
Yeah.
there's better stuff at Ludwigshafen from the band.
Okay. So then that begs the question. So where are we gonna put it? Are we gonna put it on top of Munich, or are we gonna put it below Munich?
Well, let's hear the Nancy boys.
Let's hear the other. Let's hear the wonderful British people, and then we'll make a decision.
Yay! Three against one. Three against one.
Hey, that's what I meant. I was just saying it differently.
You would not have said that. You'd have called us something completely different.
Sipping on your tea and
Personally-
crumpets with your pinky sticking out. Go ahead.
I don't drink tea for starters. I don't eat crumpets, and whenever I have a drink, I don't hold my pinky out.
Oh, sorry, I was wrong.
And that's not a euphemism.
Oh,
Very nice.
A euphemism for you. I personally
I'm
would have
sorry.
it below Munich. There are elements on this show I do agree. Musically, it's better, but I don't think Elton's in as good a form as he was in Munich. So
yeah.
that's the reason I'd push it down. But obviously, you three may disagree with me, and I get outvoted. So Ludwigshafen is just one of them sort of. I don't want to say middling shows, but it's one of them that I wouldn't hold strong feelings about. We're coming up to shows where I have very strong feelings on, and I can't wait to talk about them.
All right. So A below Munich. Okay. Ethan.
Ethan, go ahead.
I'm torn between an A and an S. While there's some good shit on it. There's also some weird stuff going on, like guitar problems before Rocket Man, Elton sounding rougher than normal. One More Arrow having a lyric flub towards the end. Tidy Dancer sounds a bit rough around the edges. So yeah, I'm very torn between an A and an S. But if I had to choose one, I'd go with A.
Yeah,
Personally, anyway.
I mean, I think A is solid enough. I mean, A is still a very high ranking.
Yeah.
So I just think it just has some elements that would push it, down out of S, but still has enough to keep it, reasonably high,
Yeah,
on a list.
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah, I would say A. Now it depends on when you think
Yeah.
if it's mid A or high A, but I still think putting it in the A tier is somewhere is accurate. I think.
yeah.
Yeah, so probably A below Munich would probably work.
All right,
Yay!
all right.
I win.
You win. We all win. Um, but here's the thing. Since you sound very 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 spirited, I'll let you begin the next show, Elton Bootlegs, in the form of Barcelona. What do you think?
Barcelona. It's a great improvement on the 1986 show, anyway. Well, for one, the star performer's in terrific shape, mentally and vocally. Just had to get my notes up there because I mistakenly thought that Milan was the next show. But this is a fantastic show, and I'm glad that we got the new upgrade as well, because the old upgrade was quite muddy. You can still hear everything, but the clearer sound just amplifies it up again. There's just some real elite versions of songs, and I would give this an S. And my issue there is, how do I go about it with Vienna? Personally, I put it below Vienna, but it's not a. It wouldn't be like a definitive view if you get my gist. It's not a.
Okay.
Has to go below there. But it's a really top show.
I would actually agree with Elton here. I would say it would be S rank, but below Vienna. Vienna for me, I think pops out more when I think of Euro Express. Not to say that that this gig doesn't have any fantastic performances. They're pretty consistent, but I'd say Vienna still is a better show than this. But definitely, I mean, this is worthy for an S without a doubt. Like it doesn't make a question that if it belongs in the S rank or not. This is definitely belongs in that echelon. I think it belongs in the lower tier though, the lower tier of S. However, because there are much better shows in this ranking and higher rankings as well. Because this is the prime section here, and we're gonna get into much better shows in the next 2 weeks. So yeah, definitely low S below Vienna.
Yeah, I love Barcelona. It's an amazing show, despite the distant and muddy quality of the recording. Like Elton sounds fantastic. He's like in an amazing form vocally. He's so spirited on stage. Just like he wants to be there, and that atmosphere is just electrifying. Like that crowd is pushing the band to go farther and farther, and I think everybody complements each other on this gig. I think Elton's in amazing form. The band are playing their asses off, and the crowd atmosphere is fantastic as well. And when you combine all three of those, you get a juggernaut of a show.
Yeah.
And apart from the odd flub here and there is nothing on this show really that drags it down at all. I think it's absolutely brilliant overall. And really, I wish there was a much better source so you can really appreciate it. But I think Barcelona is an amazing show. Don't let the quality scare you off, because there are gem performances, and some of the best playing you'll hear on the tour will come from this show. So I'll throw my hands up and say, yeah, it's an S gig, and I'm sticking to that ranking. Ethan, what do you think of Barcelona?
This is the second out of the three shows that I think really shine for that in the UK. I would give this an S, no question about And again, apart from the odd maybe lyric or musical flub here and there, there's no real bad performance. really. So yeah, I'd probably give an S as well.
And what about comparing that to Vienna?
I'd give it an S, but I wouldn't put it with Vienna. I'd put it below.
Okay, so very good. So
Yeah.
all right, so I think we were in agreement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, definitely. Barcelona is an excellent gig, and hey, I'm surprised we're not at each other's throats.
That might come in a bit. That might come shortly.
Yeah.
yeah. It's like prepare your throats. But yeah, that sounded so wrong. I'm sorry. Let's move on. Let's move on.
Oh, dear.
First Milan.
First Milan. Okay, this gig has one of the absolute best Elton John recordings you'll ever hear from an analog tape.
Yeah.
Like an A+ audience source. So it makes it a very easy listen, and it's great to recommend to people because of how great it sounds. The performances are elite. Elton's voice is pretty much in peak form on this gig. You can hear everything about the gig, like all the piano, the hi-hats on the drums. Mandel's keyboards are easy to distinguish. It's like the performances are so good. The band sound like they're just on fire, like they're playing as if their lives depended on it. Elton is amazing. Some of the best versions of songs are on this gig as well. There's some that can be ranked as like top 3 of all time, if not number 1. It's an incredibly focused and consistent gig overall. And it's everything you want. High quality and very high quality performances. And it's one of the rare times where Elton's voice is not too rough on the opening song.
Yeah.
Which is
Yeah.
rare, but also fantastic, because if you get a clean sounding Tiny Dancer, then you're in for a treat.
Ethan.
Yes, because we know how Ethan loves that song, and the sounds I hear from the other side. But the thing is,
He's also a massive fan of the Elton Byers version. If you've not heard it, I strongly recommend you go and listen to that.
It's like, holy shit, he is the madman across the
So
water.
so how would you rank it, Greg?
How would I rank it? How would I rank Milan? First Milan. Oh, I'm gonna throw a potential discussion here where we can all fight. To me, it's the first All-Star gig. It's going to the tippy top.
Agree 100%.
Agree, but it would be the bottom of the All-Star.
All right.
Bottom. It would be bottom.
Yeah, all right.
Bottom
Yeah.
All-Star. Because for me, it teetered between high S and low All-Star. I think I'll give it a low All-Star because quality, vocal performance, band performance, you can't fault it realistically.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and when I put it in All Stars, yes, it's not a 100% flawless gig. In fact, I don't think any concert is 100% flawless.
No.
No.
I'll say this:
No,
none of
no.
the All-Star gigs will be flawless. There's always going to be 1 or 2 flaws, but
Yeah.
But realistically, you'll have maybe minor issues that don't hinder on the overall performance.
Yeah, like there is a difference between clunking a piano chord, which is relatively minor, versus completely forgetting a whole line of a song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I rank it All Stars because everything is just pretty much spot on.
It's a quintessential. It's the first real quintessential Elton show from '84.
Yeah, and also I will say, not only is Tiny Dancer tops, and you have a powerful "Don't Let the Sun," which is almost too powerful with the amount of force he sings it, but also you have that mighty Hercules
Oh,
which,
yeah.
which has been said to be the definitive live version because of the rockiness and the vocals and everything about it goes
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So I think this gig is deserving of an all-star status just because I think it's just that good.
Yeah.
Elton Bootlegs, you've been quiet. Talk, please.
Well, when I had my uploading spree earlier this year, a certain Mr. Barnes said you should do the two Milans back to back, and I have to agree. This goes into the all-star category. When you mentioned Hercules, then Greg, I thought TSS was about to do the "Oh Yeah" as a song in go and hit a D5, but no, it didn't happen.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, Hercules is just flawless. But most of the songs are in this gig. It's impossible for me to look at this and go, yeah, that's one of the weaker songs on the show because every song is so consistent. The one damn shame. Where is One More Arrow? Like, this is the night where we could have all jumped up and gone, this is the definitive version, and he didn't play it.
It's like I don't get why he didn't play it this night.
Maybe because he wanted to only perform the song on one of the nights on a consecutive night. Because this is not the
Maybe.
first time that we've seen this,
Yeah,
and it's not going to be the last.
It would make sense.
But it's more the fact that he did it in every other European show, and then this is the one night where it's like, nah.
No, because it's two
Maybe-
nights in a row.
Yeah, or maybe he was late on stage and he had to cut something out. Who knows?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
You
the thing
normally
is,
hear stories about Italian shows where they're late on stage and you've only got a certain time limit.
yeah,
And
Yeah.
Then again, the lead show we have is from the second gig, I believe, not the first.
Yeah.
And One More Arrow's there,
Yeah.
so who knows?
Yeah,
So-
so maybe this was a consistent thing that Elton did on 2-night stints.
Yeah, but we can be sure that it was not cut out of the tape because the version that's on YouTube is the master tape,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
and there's
Yep.
no audible cut, no nothing to signal that it was tampered. So
Yep.
maybe he just didn't play it for whatever reason.
Yeah.
It's a shame though because he would have nailed it. But I would still put Milan at the top
All-star tier, yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's a near perfect show for me.
Ethan.
Well, have we all gone on this one?
No, Ethan.
No, I haven't gone. That's my only gripe with this show is One More Arrow isn't played. Apart from that, this is one of my favourite 84 shows ever. It's not my favourite. I wouldn't say it's my favourite because I personally think some UK shows are probably one of my favourites. But this would be top 5. I'd probably say yes, top 5. So, and yeah, I'd give it all stars. I'd give it all stars as well. So,
All right, we all agree on an all-star gig. Man, we gotta sip some champagne.
yay!
Yeah, it's like pop the cock out of the bottle, and there you go.
Pop the
pop the
cork.
what?
Oh, excuse me, sorry, sorry.
No,
Excuse me?
that
out.
happens in 9 hours, Greg. We're gonna
Okay, just edit that out. Okay, so we go to the next night.
Greg's
Sorry.
watching the 10-minute preview.
Wow, with the soul spaced out. Ow, with the soul spaced out.
Okay, the next night in Milan is a little bit of a different story compared to the first night. The first night is amazing, consistent, near flawless performance, a focused Elton, incredible vocal harmonies. It's what you want in,
Yeah.
in an amazing gig. The second night throws all that out the window after a handful of songs, and it turns into a borderline clusterfuck, especially for songs like Benny and the Jets, where everybody insists that's my favorite version, and they listen to me all the time. It's like I give a big fat
So
middle finger to
spaced
everybody who's done that.
With a
But-
spaced out.
But no, so you have that. You have Elton becoming extremely reckless and inconsistent and stoned, drunk, whatever the hell happens.
He falls
before-
off the stage.
He falls off the stage after Saturday night. So the second gig had potential to also be extremely high ranking because up until Benny, the show was at least in the same ballpark as a lot of the other great shows.
Yeah.
But then when Benny comes along, then it turns into a cataclysmic clusterfuck, and what happened? It's like, okay, so then you have Elton slurring through words, flubbing words, random piano chords, one more arrow, which isn't really one of my favorite versions to listen to. And then you have, falling off the stage. So it's funny, don't get me wrong, but this is nowhere near the first night.
No.
At all. To me, I'm sorry, it can't go higher than a B. And the reason I'm putting it at B is because all the songs up to Benny are consistent and very good overall. And some of the performances, kind of in the later half of the show when he's focused, sound quite good, but I think the gig is marred by inconsistencies and substance abuse, and it just doesn't rise up to the level of the others, so I'm going to put it at B.
Yeah, I will agree with that. I'll probably put it a B below Sydney. Sorry, wait, Sydney is A, right? No, Sydney was B.
We have Sydney at B.
Yeah, so we'll be below Sydney. Because even though the early songs are absolutely fantastic, everything from Benny onwards is just a fucking train wreck. Philadelphia Freedom, where he just doesn't know what the fuck notes to hit. He randomly growls the fuck out of notes, and his mind just completely goes from 100 to 0. It just becomes
like a light bulb, isn't it? Or like a light switch where
and then what makes it even more interesting is the fact that he falls 7 feet into an orchestra pit, and then you have the Italian guy come on. It's like he broke his arm, but then he came back on stage to play the fucking Yellow Brick Road and fucking
seconds later.
Yeah, he broke his arm. Yeah.
I've got the speech in front of me here. Elton John has fallen off the stage behind and fractured his arm. We're sorry, it's not a lie. It's not a lie, but he comes out with
I mean, I give him credit for finishing the show after falling off the stage. I mean, but
to be fair, I think falling off the stage was the best thing for him because Crocodile Rock and Yellow Brick Road aren't as goofy as
knock some sense into him, I guess.
The fall changed the trajectory of the cocaine in his body.
Yeah. I wonder what his eyes looked like after the fall. But
this is probably one of those I wear sunglasses at night gigs because
yeah. But I also will say, "Kiss the Bride" from Second Milan is hilarious.
Yes,
because it's just like, what are you doing, man? It's like
it's funny too.
Basically, as what TSS said, all the songs from Benny onwards have like something going awry for the most part. So, I just think the inconsistencies and the goofiness and the drugs bring it to B. Elton Boots. What do you think?
Well, up until Benny, it's an S, and you're thinking, what a fantastic show, and then he hits the first chord in Benny, and from then on, it is a magical journey. I give it a B as well. It's amusing to listen to, especially when you hear the thud after Saturday. And it's like, what's just happened? And then we hear the speech, and we had to get whoever translated it did a great job. Thank you very much to them. But I just don't get it. It's like, as I said, it's like a light switch. 1 minute he's absolutely fine, and then the next minute he's gone. Makes you wonder what the hell was in this stuff.
Ethan, what do you think? Is it B, or do you rank it higher or lower?
Again, until Benny, everything's really an S. Even before then, I don't think it matched the first night, even before Benny. But after Benny, I'd probably give it a B, because things are just fucking silly point.
Yeah, and to reiterate, Benny is not my favorite version from this show.
Loves it. He
So
loves it.
spaced out.
Okay,
You
so
tortured us with it to begin with, so you're
I
getting
didn't
a
do
taste of your own medicine.
no, I didn't torture you
Yeah.
that
Every
much
time
with
I
it.
used to log into Skype or Mumble, it'd be
Oh,
like, hey,
yep.
hey, Elton,
Yep.
let's listen to this.
Yeah, well, I was just showing you the performance. That's a different story, but
What, about
we'll-
50 times?
yeah,
Yeah.
I just wanted to hammer it in.
You think that I forget about it. Then again,
Yes.
it's like a certain version of a certain song from a certain year that you keep torturing me with. And, oh God, when it comes to reviewing that.
Oh, I can't wait to put that in All Stars. But so we'll put.
You will, though.
Okay, so before my mind goes cataclysmic like Milan, I'll go to Belfast. Now Belfast was interesting for me.
Yeah.
All right, well,
Yep.
I cue the orgasm. So for Belfast, thankfully we've got an upgraded source, which is now on YouTube, without noise and garbage. I think this is truly an excellent all-around gig, but I'm at a bit of a crossroads with this one. Because I am not putting it in All Stars at all, because no, it does not go with that first Milan gig, because that's an insult to first Milan. But I think Belfast has a lot of good in it that could put it to S, but there is some stuff in the middle of the show that drag it down a bit. Elton sounds fantastic vocally. He has a clear tone, and he kind of alternates between his natural voice and the overdriven voice on songs, which kind of gives you a unique perspective on what he's doing. However, there are some inconsistencies on songs in the middle of the set, like Philadelphia Freedom, where he misses notes, and which doesn't sound too hot.
Yeah.
Then you have Blue Eyes, where he wavers on notes, which
he
is
hits
rare.
he hits the B flat. He hits the first B flat twos flat.
So there's inconsistencies on Belfast, which if they weren't there, this would have gone right to S, because it has a lot of great elements, and the band are fucking on fire, and the atmosphere is great. So this gig had the potential to be S, but inconsistencies in the middle of the set drag it to A. And I'm going to keep it right at A, but it's a shame because I think it could have gone up there with S if it weren't for the inconsistencies.
Okay, I'm gonna butt in here. I'm gonna say this is probably lowest of A's. The reason why I say that, as Greg said with Philadelphia Freedom, it has the absolute worst attempt at the D5 at the end of the song, because he hits the B flat and he hits the tuning notes to the B, so like the B flat and the D5 so off. It's the worst attempt in the Prime Live era. And then the Blue Eyes, where he hits the B flat twos flat. Kiss the Bride is very rough sounding, even though he hits a random C5. It's very rough. But I would say this probably is the lowest of A's. Before that, it would be if the songs around it, like One More Arrow Down, and then before Philadelphia Freedom, I was about ready to give this an S, but this is going to be the lowest of A's because of those really bad inconsistencies in the middle of the set.
And it's a damn shame, because Tiny Dancer is almost flawless.
Yeah, the songs before those 4 songs and after those 4 songs, they're tops.
Yeah.
But that middle section, I don't know what the fuck happened, but Elton just went.
It's like.
Shall we just delete them out of existence, and then we can just say this is an extra?
Oh,
God. The tape, I forgot to record it.
Yeah, it's like, oops. But yeah, I mean, it's a damn shame, because it's like, because those early songs sound so good, and then One More Arrow sounds so good, and it's like, it's like, yeah, I mean, thanks, Taper. But yeah, those inconsistencies just brought it to A. It would have been S. Uh, Elton Boots. What do you think?
Yeah, I give it an A as well. Towards the lower end of the spectrum. I fully agree with what you guys have said because there are some versions of songs here that are terrific. It's just their middle songs let it down. And plus, as well, this is one of the first shows, well, recorded shows where we actually have the rock and roll medley.
Yep.
Hooray! And probably the reason they probably did it is because Belfast's audience are they're a crazy bunch. In
Oh,
a
yeah.
good way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
They
mean,
love what's going on, and yes, and maybe that's one of the reasons why they threw it in. It's like, right, they're a great audience. Let's give them more.
yeah, because the musicianship is amazing at Belfast. They're playing amazingly. The atmosphere is there, and Elton is there for the most part, except those middle songs. Some of them just like what'd you do? You know,
What did you
it's
do?
ouch.
Yeah.
Ethan, is this an S gig? Is it an A? Where would you put this?
Uh, this show's weird because I, I, I want to put it I want to put it an S, but there's just like as you said, the four songs that are just fucking. There's some silly shit going on during them, like him not going for certain stuff, and I like the show, I do, but I can't. I can't give it more than an A. I can't.
Yeah, I mean it's a shame too because it's just you know.
What was that? What was that, Ethan?
I want to love this show, but give it more than a.
Yeah, you can't give him more than. Yeah, UK internet. Blame UK internet.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
he's. It's just he's so disappointed by Belfast's internet cuts, but
Yes, that is correct.
yeah, but yeah, so yeah, I would say A would be is
But
the gentleman
lowest, but
says
lowest of A's.
lowest of
Like
A's.
the absolute bottom.
Well, I had it just at A, but okay.
No, but the absolute bottom because, like I said, those four songs ruin everything. I think.
Oh, all right. Well, hopefully the next gig doesn't have that.
Okay.
So okay. So who lives closer? Who lives closer to Leeds? Elton Bootlegs or Ethan?
Me.
All right. So go ahead. Go ahead, Elton Bootlegs. Where would you put Leeds?
Oh, this for me is a tricky one in a good way, which is mostly this tough. I love this show. It's one of my all-time favourites in all of Elton's live collection. Maybe it's a personal thing because obviously I know the city of Leeds quite well. It's a fantastic place to go, especially for a night out. But anyway, I digress. Performances here are excellent, and I'm debating here, and I think one or two of you may put me down here, but I want to put this high S / you're creeping into the All Stars. There are one or two slight flubs, but as we agreed earlier, there will be shows that go into the All Stars which have slight flubs. And I think this show you could put into the All Star category. There are just elite performances of songs. I mean, such examples: Philadelphia Freedom is a terrific version. Candle in the Wind is a wow performance. One More Hour, all the Two Loaf Zero songs are excellent at this gig. And also you've got C5 in your song. How can we forget that? And also I enjoy the intro to Crocodile Rock where he decides that he's going to introduce a song in French. He's in the wrong country, but oh well. I will give it lower end of All Stars, but I'm about to be torn apart, I reckon.
Yes, you are.
Yeah. How would you like to be? How would you like to be hung, drawn, and quartered?
Oh no.
Well,
Um,
let Ethan go next.
yeah. All right.
Am I sounding okay? By the way, I'm not.
Yes, you are now.
You're all right.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's
Okay.
he's coming
Okay, good.
through fine with the recording, right? When he
Well,
joined.
yeah. Now you not yeah because before he was cutting out pretty badly, but
Okay.
now you're fine.
All right.
Okay.
Ethan.
Got an extra person in there. I didn't know that. Anyway, I would consider this the peak of UK '84.
Yes.
Personally, I would listen to All Stars. Personally, I love this show. It's a really good show. Yeah,
Yep.
I would say this is the peak of UK.
Mm.
Go on, Ethan. Fight your corner.
Come on. I want to see the two Englishmen go at it. Come on.
What do you mean?
Just heard
Go
me
at
go
it?
at it.
Come on. I want you two to
You
fight.
filthy.
I can't fight. We're both English. We respect each other.
Well, throw your teacups at each other. Come on. Do something.
Hey, Greg with the
It's
fucking
not- it's not-
stereotypes
it's not-
again.
Bloody hell, it's not Donald Trump versus Joe Biden, for God's sake. I mean. And then I said the meat.
Well, hey, at least we don't have at least Greg doesn't have hair dye fucking coming down his face. But
Not yet.
We just need
But
to
yeah.
get some fake tan and you'll be fine.
anyway, all right, Ethan, go.
Yeah, I love this show. I love Tiny Dancer's really good. Hercules is, despite some weird phrasing earlier, it's got some blistering guitar work. Rocket Man has some of his best B flat fours ever, I'd say. One More Arrow is a superb version. Yeah, there's not much else. This is an all stars show.
Okay. So for me, this is his best gig. This is the top. This goes top all stars. Reason
Holy
why?
hell.
Yes. The reason why? Vocal is absolutely flawless. Like nearly flawless. There's only one bad note that he hits on this gig, and that is there is a slight vocal break in Yellow Brick Road. That's it. Everything else is consistent. Too Low for Zero has the best version because of the embellishments, and it's the only time that he has done this. It's the best version. One More Arrow is pristine. Like, I could listen to that all fucking day, every day, not get sick and tired of it. Rocket Man, superb. Mwah. You know, it's one of those things where
I don't think
Yeah,
I've ever
chef
heard
kiss.
you kiss. I don't
Chef's
think I've ever heard
kiss
you
for that
kiss on
shit.
any fucking recording.
yes, this is my absolute favorite 84 gig.
And
Because
there was me
here
thinking
it is so consistent. Vocally, it is his best show. Like I can't find any major fault with any of the vocal performances here.
And there was me going lower, thinking that people would disagree.
But this is the penultimate gig for me.
His upper range does seem to be stronger than usual for this show.
Yes.
It's very
Yes, like
weird,
everything
yeah.
like everything above A4 is just bang on.
Also,
It's just a
his
shame.
dedication to the miners as well before sad songs. I mean, that really gets the crowd going. The poor old
Yeah.
miners, Maggie Thatcher, the evil, the milk snatcher.
But yeah, I think at this point this is ultimate Elton peak right here.
Yes.
So all-star top. Nothing can beat this.
Ooh.
Nothing can beat this.
What does I Am Your Robot think?
All right. Well,
All right,
Well,
let's get back
all
to
right.
Greg.
yeah. All right. It's like, oh, I'm gonna need to have some control here. Okay, so Leeds '84 is a rather special gig. It is amazing. It is extremely consistent. As noted, the singing is pretty much pristine. has one of the best "Don't Let the Suns" live. Too Low for Zero is arguably the best live version because it's just so top notch and unique, and he throws everything he has during this version. There is a lot of greatness on this show. Not a lot of faults, and whatever faults are there are fairly negligible, and it doesn't hamper the gig. Just straightforward, barrels through the songs, top notch, clean at the start of the show, amazing by the middle of the show, and still high quality at the end.
That's another thing about this show. His voice, to be fair, mostly in '84, his voice doesn't sound tired at the end. And this show is a great example of that.
I think Leeds is one of the absolute best shows in Elton's career, not just in '84, but in general.
Yeah.
At least at the very least of the decade. If you want '80s Elton, that show better be on the list, or I'm coming for you. I'm gonna get you. But yeah, Leeds. I think it would be an insult to the gig, to the recording, to its fans, and to people if I don't put it at All Stars, because I think this is an all-star gig.
For sure.
Really, I can't see putting it any lower than that because it's about as good as it gets. And yeah, it's an amazing show. And it's what you want in an Elton gig. So
It's what
yeah,
you really, really want.
yeah, and it's like, but here's the thing. Before I move on to the next one, how many times have you heard in all the years of him doing, projects, recordings, debates, anything? How many times have you heard tsskiller go on a gig?
Never.
Never. This is the first time I have ever heard him do that. So yeah, that just shows you how good it is. Because if you get him going, making sounds like on a gig, then yes, it is All Stars. And if you disagree, you're fucked up. So yeah.
So basically, Rocket Man is the pièce de résistance version. Mwah.
Yeah. So yeah, Leeds '84 All Star. I'll fight anybody to the grave if this is not All Star for the tour. So yes, Elton Bootlegs. You and I are gonna have a talk after this recording stops.
To be fair, I didn't expect you guys to be so bullish. I thought you were going to say like more in A, but that's just my way of thinking. I thought
you're on drugs, Adam. You're on drugs. You're on drugs.
No.
If you think we're going to say fucking A after we've been talking about Leeds for fucking years, and then the new source comes out and it's like
Yeah, I remember we were positive about it. It was more that sometimes with this, you can over-egg something, and I didn't want to do that. If it had come to me second or third, it would have been easier, but...
Leeds at A. That's a good one. But
I just wanted to be I wanted to go for the lower range rather than go all out there and then be told you're completely wrong. So I don't know what Greg's like.
All right.
Birmingham. Yeah.
All right. Well,
Edinburgh. Sorry. Edinburgh's first.
Oh, it's like, the drinks are flowing now. So
the water's going down well.
Yep. Hey, it does have an effect on me. I can't drink water. But, so Edinburgh, to me, this is going to be a bit controversial. And I'm open to fighting from everybody, but not just against me. I think Edinburgh is amazing. Now, is it as good as Leeds?
No.
On the whole, I don't think so. Although I will say there are performances on there that are up there with the elites for '84. I think it's an extremely consistent gig, and it's got unique vocal phrasings by Elton that he doesn't often do. on stage and not really on this tour. I think he's amazingly consistent. And again, like Leeds, the band are in absolutely top form. They're on fire. Nigel is one of his best gigs on the tour, comes from Edinburgh. And I think there's a lot of performances that don't necessarily beat Milan or Leeds, but can comfortably be right up there. So I will say Edinburgh. I was kind of torn between S and All Star, but I am going to squeeze Edinburgh into All Star on the low end.
I agree with that, actually.
Wait, my throat saved.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Throat tonight.
Right,
Because at this point, at this point, Elton is at his peak. So it's just that this is just a slight notch below Leeds, but I'd still put it in the same echelon. It's just that it would be more towards the bottom end of it. Because as you mentioned, it has some performances that are a little bit worse than Milan, which I agree with. But it's still in that all-star category for me. Like, I would not hesitate to listen to this gig if somebody had me had me select a gig, bunch of gigs to listen to. This would definitely be one of them. So this will probably be
1986.
Yeah, but that's good for other reasons. But yeah, this is part of the stretch where Elton was at his peak vocally, realistically. You really can't. There's really not too many faults that you can attest to this. But like I said, this is not quite up to Leeds caliber. But I would still put it in the all-star category, but just towards the bottom.
Yeah, and having a gig slightly below Leeds shouldn't be shameful because of how top-notch Leeds is.
Absolutely.
I mean, Leeds is as good as it gets, and to have a gig that's at least in the same ballpark, there's no shame in that. It's still amazing. So, Ethan, Edinburgh, does it belong with the All-Stars, or do you think it's not quite as good as that?
I would say it's in All-Stars, but I'd go with sort of like a mid to high tier All-Stars. I wouldn't.
So it would be above Milan for you?
Yes. Not quite up to Leeds, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
Fight.
No, I could see it. I could see why, because it's like because by the time that by the time it comes around, it's a much more like peak voice than Milan. But you have to look at it from a whole perspective. So, you're not wrong. You got some great points. You got some definite points.
Yeah.
So, okay. I will be willing to concede with that. I mean, for me, it could go either way. It could either go below Milan or above Milan. It's just that where does the Edinburgh sit? That's the thing. For me, it's a coin toss. So realistically, it could either go below or above.
It's still going to be top 3. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
I mean, just flip a coin. But yeah, Elton Bootlegs.
All-Star. I personally have a notch below Milan, but it is minimal.
Yeah.
Their performances are terrific. You even get a snippet of Strangers in the Night because Elton breaks a chord at the start of your song. But we can't hold that against him. He's slamming the piano too much.
Yeah. But yeah,
there's not much more I can add there.
Yeah, so yeah, I think Edinburgh is an all-star gig, and I think it's amazing and deserves lots of listens. The next gig, Birmingham. Who wants to start this?
That was the worst Birmingham accent I've ever heard in my life.
Sorry. Go ahead. Who?
Birmingham, all right.
I'm
This
sorry.
town, alright?
All right. Who would like to start Birmingham?
Let Ethan start.
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry,
Yeah. I mean,
I
that's
didn't
your
catch
name,
that.
right?
Yes, I didn't. I just didn't catch it. I like Birmingham, even though my thoughts have improved on the show. I would say that it's the weakest show on the whole UK leg. It's just got some. It's got a feeling of like not necessarily like autopilot mode, but it's. I just get the feeling that he's not quite as into the show as he would be previous on the next show. Even I'd say is a step up from this show. But yeah, I personally say that show's a step down personally. So I would put it in either S or A.
So pick one, and we'll go off that.
Maybe lowish S.
Ooh.
Ooh. Well, that's bold. But for me, I actually agree with you on pretty much everything you said. Although I'll take it a step further and say that I think not only is it the weakest UK show that we have, but I honestly think there are some earlier shows in outside the UK that are better. Like
Yes.
I think
Yeah,
the first Milan is better. I even think Barcelona, Vienna, and maybe even Stuttgart would be better than this show because
Yeah.
while I think Birmingham is very good overall, Elton does sound a little rougher compared to the other gigs. I think there's not as much dynamics in his singing as there are others. I think it's a little too rough, not so much rough, but a lot more forceful, and you don't get the same sort of vocal sort of like not necessarily the embellishments, but you don't have him doing all of his crazy stuff on this gig. It's like it's a little bit more one dimensional. There's not as much variety. Band are still good and still on fire, but I think it's one of these things where these gigs, or at least the Birmingham gig we had, it almost sounds like a warm up to the upcoming Wembley show.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it sounds. It's great. It has great performances, great moments, but I just don't think it has what it takes to match the other UK shows and quite a few of the earlier European shows. So for me personally, I agree with you, Ethan, but
Yeah.
I don't even think it's S. I think it's A. I don't think it's even
Ooh.
worthy of S.
Okay.
So TSS
Yeah, so-
Killer, what do you think of Birmingham? Am I going too overboard, or are you more in Team Ethan?
That's a good question. Yeah, I would actually say it either belongs in lowest of S's or high A, but even then, there are some gigs in the high A that would still be better than this. I would say actually this will be mid A, because as you guys mentioned, he sounds lifeless compared to the other UK stuff. It just sounds like he's going through the motions, and realistically, it's not something I want to listen to. Especially now, even with the better quality now, it further proves the point where nobody really talks about this show as compared to the other ones, because there's really nothing special in it. There's really nothing that I can say, okay, this performance is fantastic, you should listen to it. No, it just sounds like just going through the things. He just going through the motions of the show to just prove his point. So this would actually go below Stuttgart for me.
I mean,
So mid
like,
S. Sorry, mid A. Sorry,
mean-
mid A.
I mean, like me, even though my thoughts have improved after listening to the improved and complete show, now that we've got the complete show, it's still just a show that's kind of there on the. It's just kind
Filler.
of there.
It's
No one
filler.
really- yeah. No one really
filler.
talks about it. Yeah, and I'd say, well, I don't want to make assumptions, but I'd maybe say the other nights would sound similar. maybe.
We'll see.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, who knows? It could go either way. But what I think is, yeah, I mean, I think it's a great show and it has great performances. Don't get me wrong, but it's one of those things where, in terms of UK '84 Elton, all the other ones we have go above it, and you'll hear me talk about those a lot more because I think most of the performances are better on the other UK shows compared to Birmingham. So, I mean, yeah. So I think Birmingham, in a sense, it's there. It's solid enough. It's good, but it doesn't match up to the others. Elton Bootlegs. What do you think of Birmingham?
Oh, well, I'm from Birmingham. I want to sound like this.
Okay, Birmingham.
Should have done the thing like that. Should have done the whole review like that.
Okay, well, I'm from Birmingham, so I'll talk like this for the whole thing. Well, I went to the gig myself, and it was all right. I've heard better on the tour.
No, I can't do it in that voice.
I'm not going to try
It's
that.
Not gonna do it.
In its defence, I'd say the last third of the show is where it really begins to pick up. So from like one more hour on, I think they're excellent performances. But I do agree there is sort of like a lackadaisical approach. Try and say that in a Brummie accent.
Well, it's a lackadaisical approach.
It's a lackadaisical.
I might as well just be from Birmingham. I mean, that's the strongest accent you can get. Apparently, it's more West Country, more like you're from a place called Dudley.
I'm from Dudley.
Dudley, yeah.
So yeah, I give it a mid-A, but I would say that the last third of the show is where it really begins to pick up.
Mm.
Well,
Okay, so
yeah.
we'll say like mid-A below Stuttgart then.
Yeah.
Okay.
I go.
I go with that. I agree.
Wait till we do Birmingham '85 and.
All right, we got the final show on the
final
tour
band show, yeah.
final band show on the tour proper for the tour leg. The legendary Wembley Stadium. Where would this go?
High S.
For me, thinking about it, comparing it to all these other gigs, and just really looking at the show and trying to compare it, it is a legendary show, and I completely understand why it was filmed, and I get why people love it. I love it myself. I will put it at S, because even though it is extremely consistent and it's a legendary show and it deserves all its praise, I just don't think it's the overall best show on the tour, because
No.
I think there's some shows where Elton just sounds a little bit better vocally. I think there are shows where the band sound great on this show. Don't get me wrong, but I just think there's some other shows where I think the band are even in better form compared to Wembley. Wembley is consistent. It has its flubs here and there, but what helps the gig is the video and watching it and Elton's antics and his showmanship. So it is a classic gig. I'm not taking anything away from it. It deserves its praise. I want it officially released in full. But as a show itself, it's very highly ranked. I love it. But I'm sorry, I just don't think it quite reaches all-star level in comparison to a few of the other ones. But it's an S. That's still amazing.
Where would it be on the S tier for you, Greg?
Well, right now, we have Vienna, Barcelona, and Wembley at S. For me personally, a hot take, I don't think it's good as Barcelona. I think Barcelona's a better show overall in terms of the playing.
Yeah, I will actually agree with that.
Yeah.
The reason being is that there's a few things that there's a reason why it's worse. First of all, the third chorus Benny falsetto sounds very rough. very forced. The D5s in it is very forced. The really bad flub in Restless, and that's an officially released song, and he freaking fucked up the words. That's nice. One More Arrow has too much of the full voice in it, and I don't really like it.
It's the weakest UK version, I'd say.
Yes, I agree with that. Um,
You got the
The
silly
yellow-
2 over 0 drum machine in Rocket Man going
yeah,
off.
yeah, Rocket Man, but
Yeah.
they thankfully cut it out of the official release.
If they didn't
Yeah.
cut that out of the official release, there was something wrong.
I'm still standing. The A flats sound a bit rough.
Yeah.
But the good one is, I think, well, Yellow Brick Road, at least he hits all the C5s on top, and Your Song is fantastic. One of his best versions. So that's the only reason why it still remains an S, but there's still better songs on Barcelona and Vienna.
Yeah.
So it'll be low. So it'll be the low S, lowest of S in this case.
Yeah,
But it still deserves to be. It still deserves to be an S, regardless.
Yeah, and there's nothing shameful about that because that's still higher than a decent amount of the shows. So
Yes.
Yeah.
Elton bootlegs. Are we making sense or are we talking bollocks?
That was the
Talking
word.
sense.
Talking sense. Very good.
Yeah, but I do agree with you, TSS, that the accent there was not particularly good.
Will you shut up?
Your English pronunciations, they need a lot of work.
Yeah.
Well,
You force it too much. That's
Well, I
the
think it's because of his
Yes.
Michigander accent. I could probably do a better one, but my voice is more rhotic, so it doesn't sound as good. I could do better Scottish impersation than a British
yes,
one would.
yeah, it's like
Especially when I have my wisdom teeth in. Anyway, continue, Elton.
yeah, it's like because he's got a kilt.
Well,
Go ahead.
Okay, Wembley for us is that special show because it was the first real involvement I had with Elton, and I will always praise the show to high heaven because it is brilliant. And for an official release, it's very rare that you can get a show where you can get an artist at the top of their powers. I mean, we've seen with other artists that when they get official releases, it's always the worst night or it's not as good as what you'd expect.
Right.
But this is fantastic. And there are certain songs throughout this gig that are just you'll always listen to them. I actually really love the Saturday Night Director Fighting from this gig because it's a rare version where he actually sings it close to the record, and I give that brownie points. And I'd argue that Yellow Brick Road is one of the definitive versions you'll get because
Yes.
he doesn't flub anything, thankfully. The rock and roll medley as well, I love as well. That's a nice end to the European leg of the tour. There are one or two weaknesses, of course. One More Arrow is not the strongest version in the world. I've heard a lot worse. I must add that. The Benny version, while he forces some of the lyrics, it's still a go-to version. So yeah, that would be my view on Wembley. I love the show. It's one of my favourites.
So it'll be S, right?
Yeah, it'd be yes.
Below Milan, right? Sorry, not Milan. Sorry. Yeah. Well,
What?
you see, I fucked. See, this is the rare time that I fuck up. I meant below Barcelona.
Well,
you see, I corrected myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, to be fair, first Milan is an All-Stars, and
Yes.
Wembley is an S, so it is below Milan.
Yes.
I'll cut you some slack.
Yes.
Yeah, but at least I caught myself and not let myself go for like more than 3 seconds. So
Hey, I'm good at getting
Barcelona.
around mistakes. So
no, you're not because you ham it up and then you fucking make it. You fucking correct yourself. But yeah. So definitely, would you say that this was the lowest of S in that case, Adam?
Yeah. I'll go with that.
Okay, Ethan.
Yeah, Ethan. Is this an S gig or are we not talking sense?
No, you're talking sense.
Thank you.
It's better than Birmingham. It's better than Birmingham. It's not other UK legs. It's ukulele. It's not other local
UK gigs.
UK shows. Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd say, of course, it's not a perfect show because you've got that silly drum machine and rock man, and there's some weird stuff going on in Benny and whatever. But yeah, it's a show. So yeah, I'd agree with this.
And so that ends the tour proper, but as a bonus, we have Monte Carlo 84 on here because it's a one-off solo gig that takes place a week before the American leg of the tour. So we're gonna sneak that in here. This is a rare 80s solo set with some astounding performances. You have Elton sounding like a mature 79 voice. Probably some of the cleanest singing you'll ever hear him do. And the main thing about it is his singing. The playing's fine, but to me the highlight is just how good he sounds.
Yes.
With a flawless candle, an amazing Your Song, sounding like the album on I'm Still Standing, from a tonal perspective, Blue Eyes with great control, and a fun medley of songs. It's just, I don't know where to really rank this because of how short it is and like how unique it is between All-Star and S.
All-Star because of the vocal performance alone. No, but it's going to be at the total bottom because I cannot put this above the other shows that are in this rank because there's only like 6 songs, 6 performances really.
Yeah, I mean it's a one-off solo gig, unique, and it's really hard to compare it to a 2-hour show with 20+ songs. So.
But I would put this on the complete bottom of All Star and just leave it there because it deserves to be there because it's a hidden gem.
Yes, it's an excellent performance.
And plus, he's actually sober.
Yeah,
yes,
he sounds sober. His tone is squeaky clean. Sorry Seems is one of the best
version of the song. I mean, the best solo version of the song by far.
And there's a marked difference between this show and Tempe.
There's a huge difference. Even Wembley, I mean, the tone is completely different on here compared to Wembley and Tempe.
Absolutely.
It's like that, month and a half to almost 2 months off, basically. And plus, since he's doing it solo and not over the band, you basically get his natural voice.
Yeah.
The studio voice, yeah.
Yeah, the studio voice is there, and it's like some of the cleanest singing you'll ever hear him do.
For sure.
Yeah, and it's like, and if you gave me songs from that gig and didn't tell me anything about them, I would have assumed it didn't come from 84. I would have thought 79 or possibly 80, not 84.
Yeah, it doesn't even sound like it. It
84.
doesn't even sound like his 84 voice. It sounds more of a 79 voice, except a little older.
Yeah, I want to say this is.
Till you're given I'm Still Standing, and it's like, oh.
Well, I think it's because he probably realized that the lyric didn't match what he wanted to convey. That's probably why he wanted to change it.
And this might be a little controversial, but I want to say this is possibly the best shape he's ever been. Well, no, it's possibly he was in the best shape of the year at that point in time. I want to say it's his best vocal.
I would agree with that. I would definitely agree with that. But since we only have technically 8 songs out of a versus 20 to 25.
Yeah.
I can't put it above any of the shows in the All Stars just because.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
Because it all depends on vocal shape, right? If he did 18 or 20 songs and he sounded like that, then by far it'd probably be the best show ever.
Or at least the best show of the year.
Best show of the year for sure, but I would say no. It cannot beat the band shows in that same ranking.
Yeah, it's almost like comparing, say, a band gig to like performances at like Live Aid, for example, because you're comparing gigs that are, an hour and a half, 2 hours up to 20 minutes, 25 minutes, and it's like it's easy to go through the performances and rank them A, B.
Yeah.
But if you're going to talk about overall performances, it starts to get really tough, and it's almost like apples to oranges.
Yes.
Because so it's like for me, I'd put it at All Stars just on its own merit. Not even comparing it to, the band shows, because this is a totally different animal, and I'm putting it at All Stars just because of how pristine he sounds, and it's like just about every song he sings on this little short set has like some of the best vocal deliveries that he's done. So
Yeah.
I mean, like your song sounds amazing. Candle in the Wind is flawless. Sorry Seems is flawless. Blue Eyes is amazing. I'm Still Standing has the album tone. And then
Grapevine is one of his best performances, and the sad song solo sounds good too.
Yeah, that little medley he did sounded awesome. So on its own merit, I would put it up there just because of how unique and special, those performances are, and just, how good he sounds.
Elton Bootlegs, what do you think?
I fully agree with everything that's been said. My issue is that it's like an individual thing on its own. So if I were doing a TierMaker thing, obviously Greg's doing it, I actually wouldn't put this in anywhere because it's on its own. But I would rank it as an all-star. Its tone is just... what's the word? I'm trying to think of a word here to describe it. It's very nice.
It's immaculate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's immaculate.
I had a different word in mind, but I didn't want to use it because it might turn Greg on. We don't want Greg to be like that just yet. I do enjoy the House of Standing where he's trying to get the audience to sing along.
Yeah, it's not working. Also, it's another gig where Freddie Mercury's in the audience.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
He was there. Yep.
Nice.
Yep, Freddie was in the audience for this Monte Carlo show. It's confirmed.
Nice.
Well, it's a shame that he couldn't dedicate Blue Eyes to him.
Well, he did dedicate it to Frank Sinatra.
Yeah.
Because he went on after him.
Yeah, it's like.
And by the way, this little short gig exists on video. You can go on YouTube and watch it. I definitely recommend the watching. It's great to actually hear a mono. Like a mono recording, but you hear just the raw piano with no effects on it.
Yes, that's really nice to hear.
Yeah, I mean, it's like Monte Carlo is just special, and I'm so glad that surfaced. And when I saw that, I thought it was a trick, and I listened to that, I'm like, no, this isn't a trick. This is legit, and we were all scrambling around, beating ourselves off listening to this, but it's like it's definitely worth it because of the performances.
The video just makes it more special because then it's legit.
Yeah,
absolutely. And yeah, I mean, as what Ethan said earlier, this is, and I probably wrote it down somewhere, but this probably is the best shape he's been in for the year because he sounds exactly the same as his studio voice.
Yep.
It's essentially a pristine voice, and it's a damn shame he didn't cut an album, an official live album from this set because it would have been amazing. But
it would.
Hey,
what would have been great. This was for an AIDS benefit, right? It would have been great if he would have had the foresight to record this and then release it as a charity album.
Yeah.
Should have fucking done that.
Yeah, that would have been amazing. That would have been really good.
Yeah, I mean, but at least we got the full set, in a respectable quality.
Before we continue, was this an AIDS benefit or was this for a different purpose?
It was I've got it up at Prince Rainier Red Cross Gala benefit.
Okay, it's a Red
Think-
Cross one, yeah.
AIDS
So-
benefit came towards like end of the 80s, like
End of the
87,
'80s, right? Yeah.
88, yeah.
I just wanted to stop myself there because I knew that I didn't get that right, so I just wanted to stop myself there before it got any worse.
Well,
I know
you
it was
were-
for
you were
Red
half-
Cross.
You were
but-
half right. It was a
It
benefit.
was a benefit.
but yeah.
Okay, anyway.
Yeah, but yeah, definitely Monte Carlo All Star. So we have our rankings here. We have 4 All Star gigs, 3 S's, 6 A's, 3 B's, and nothing in C, D, or E.
That's about right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't make a fuss about that. I think it's a pretty accurate representation of what we think of this tour, and as you can see, a lot of it is highly ranked.
Good reason.
Yep.
So yeah, and yeah, I definitely highly recommend this tour leg to anybody who's interested in listening to Elton live because of the consistency and the vocal performances are some of the best you'll hear from him in a live setting.
Yeah.
And it's it really doesn't get much better than this. I mean, you'll get some amazing stuff on other tour legs and after this, before this, but there's a real sweet spot on this Euro 84 era where there's a lot of greatness to be listened to. And don't just listen to Wembley 84, as good as it is. There are other gigs waiting for you.
And it's all on Greg's channel.
That's right. And you can find a lot of other things on other people's channels as well. So YouTube is your best friend.
Absolutely.
Yep.
What an advert for the channel that is.
Yeah, you got that right. Stumbling through it, almost forgot my own channel name. But also, even though it probably didn't happen, did doing this tier list change any perception about your personal rankings or anything, or is it pretty much cemented? Yeah, I wouldn't change anything.
Maybe only 1 or 2 gigs have changed, but aside from that, no. It's pretty consistent on what I thought before going into this.
Yeah, I mean, going into this, my personal tier maker, if I was just doing this by myself, it would be very similar to the list that we have here. There might have been probably 1 change I would have done, but everything else would have been bang on.
Okay.
So, some slight influences here and there, but generally this falls in line, pretty much what I would have thought.
Yeah.
Now wait until the next tour.
The next tour leg or tour that we do on this, oh boy. If it's something good, great. If it's something inconsistent, be prepared to hear me shout myself hoarse.
All right.
All right, well, these messages have been brought to you by GregsynthWizard, an Elton John channel with a bunch of gigs on it and other things.
Worst advert ever.
Well, I didn't rehearse it.
Oh dear.
This was brought to you by GregsynthWizard Incorporation, Elton John Limited.
And also, Elton Bootlegs, get back to uploading shows. Yeah, it's like, I know you can upload some gigs. Like, I can't be the only one doing it.
Yeah.
It's like...
You just recommend Reg Tour's stuff though to him though. No wonder he stopped.
Yeah. Well, nothing wrong with that.
Call, best friend.
Someone's got to do it. But but I'll tell you what. After I'm done uploading the rest of the '84 stuff, the gloves are off, and I'll be taking requests.
Awesome.
Ooh,
Great.
good. Does that include your Queen channel as well?
Well, if you want.
Yeah.
If you lie. Sounds so defeated.
Because there's a show I've been waiting for quite a while, and
Well, there's an upgrade to a
uploaded yet on
show.
YouTube.
There's an upgrade
And
to a
it's
show
from,
that I
from
really
this
want.
year as well, from the year we're talking about.
Yep. Okay.
It's
Yeah.
from
Happy birthday, Freddie.
Oh.
Because this is what he's like. He said he'll upload it at 10k. 10k hits. Oh no, I'll wait till I do the 73 stuff. He's done the 73 stuff.
Has done
And
74
then
stuff.
the guys at 74 stuff.
No, because nobody's reading the fine print. But
What fine print? You didn't give us any fine print. And you
What
said
the
you-
fuck?
I
What the fuck did you do? It's size 3 font? Like you can't even fucking read it? Like
yeah,
what?
it was size 2.5. But the fact remains that things will come out on that channel. I
Yeah.
just have a list of things to do, and things have to fall into place. But the upgrade will come on that channel.
Thank God.
And if it gets you to stop calling me in the dead of night and allow me to sleep, I can get it done.
It'll be done on
I
the
don't
34th
phone
of
you.
November.
Yeah, I'll get it done sometime in the next year. So, yeah. So yeah, I got the rest of the year to do it.
The suspense is killing us, Greg.
Yeah, it's like I just sat through an amazing '84 tour TierMaker project. Do I really want to destroy myself by listening?
Well, then again, though, you got to remember for the next 84 leg, that's gonna be really fun.
Oh,
Oh yeah, especially since we have new shows in that too.
it's like I'm
Yeah.
gonna be hoarse and flu stricken by the end of that. But yeah, I mean, who knows what who knows what we're gonna do for the next year maker? If we're gonna do something random or an order, because we started at 84 euro.
You know what? Actually, let's throw a curveball. Let's do 97. Let's do 90. Let's do 97.
Ooh, big picture. I like it.
What,
Big picture.
What? Just to hear. Oh, in the background every 5 seconds.
I think the time is right because we got upgrades to most of those shows and we got more.
All right, so so
97 all the way up to the end of so like February.
yeah, it's like it'll be fun to go through that. But I swear I'm gonna hear two sounds through that whole TierMaker video, and it's gonna be this, and on every fucking gig. I know that's gonna happen. I know it's gonna happen. It's like I won't be able to get a word in edgewise, and I'll be laughing too hard, hearing the sounds of,
Wait. Greg.
What?
Edgewise. That's not even a word.
I didn't say that.
You did. When you hear
No.
this fact, edgewise. It's edgeways.
Well, it's Michigander slang. Fuck off. But so we got this done. Who knows what the next TierMaker project will be? If I'll have a voice at the end or not. Stay
Now
tuned to find
it
out.
would actually be fun. It would actually be fun to just do solely 97. That would be fucking nuts.
Just do America and then
No,
UK,
no. We're gonna do a Schaffenburg down to the UK.
Yeah. So yeah, because if we're gonna do a TierMaker list, we'll have to think about
Cut
what
it
to
off
put.
at some point because it's
Yeah,
not like
because
a
there's like solo
Yeah.
performances and rainforest and
yes.
so it's like I'll have to figure out what qualifies full gigs.
Yeah.
Okay, so it'll be like House of Blues and a Schaffenburg and
Yeah.
the tour proper. So that eliminates Rainforest and the Montserrat show
Yeah.
because they're
Yeah.
1 to 3 songs, which doesn't
Yeah.
make a difference.
So that can work for sure.
Yep.
And since there's not a lot of recordings on UK compared to America, I think it's safe to combine them.
Yes.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, but I'm preparing to hear moaning on that video. I know it's gonna happen because here's the thing. This is my favorite tour leg, 84 Euro. You didn't hear me, moan every 5 seconds and stuff.
Because it's the first video and we don't want people to think you're mentally insane.
Well, I mean, true, but I'm just saying that I
Right.
controlled myself
That's
just
good.
fine. Yeah,
Okay.
I may be amped up, but I controlled myself.
Okay.
Are you gonna control yourself for the next one we do?
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Okay, so we're not gonna hear next
No, it's
time.
like no,
Okay.
it's like I'm GregsynthWizard. I can do what I want, but
Alrighty. Anyway.
all right. Wiping
So
my
with that being
fucking
said,
nose.
let's start. Let's wrap this up. Well, before
Yeah,
you go,
that's fine.
before. Okay, go
I
ahead.
want to. Can I give a shout out to a loyal listener to our channels? It's his
Sure,
favourite
then.
year, 1984. NCF1. He comments on all our videos.
Thank you.
I'm surprised that Greg didn't mention it, but
Well, I was gonna start mentioning people at the end, but thank you for stealing my
I beat you
thunder,
to it. So
asshole. But yeah, thank you NCF1 for commenting on all the 84 gigs and the funny comments and keeping me up for 20 hours uploading all the shows. You're fun to have around, and thanks for throwing willy willies in my face. So there you go.
Okay.
So I've just about had it. So I'm gonna stop this.
Alrighty. So thank you
All
very
right.
much. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for watching this TierMaker. This was really fun, and can't wait till next one.
goodbye.
Bye bye.
Yeah, it's like bye bye.
Oh my word.
Oh, he's
Maybe
dying.
maybe one of these years, Greg will stop hitting the pipe, and we'll get everything.
It's like
Editing, Greg. Keep that in.
okay. It's like bye bye.
Keep that in, by the way. Don't cut it out.
Did you know that we have to say bye-bye?
Assholes,
Bye-bye.
I'm trying to stop the damn thing.
Say bye bye. And let
I
me.
want to kiss the bride. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stop this silly shit.
Say
Okay.
goodbye. Say goodbye to the classic
no.
coggers. No.
Wrong toe.
Okay, I'm stopping right now.
Okay.
Okay.